Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Today I am going to present to all of you about the adoption of e-wallet in UiTM Seremban, the chapter 1. So, introduction. What is e-wallet? E-wallet is basically an application in your mobile phone or smartphone that can store money in it, and we can make online transaction based on the e-wallet. Hence, there are two types of e-wallet. First, the network-based e-wallet and the card-based e-wallet. Basically, network-based e-wallet store your money in a cloud, where the card-based e-wallet store your money in a card. Next, there are 42 e-wallet merchants that are granted license by Bank Negara Malaysia. Next, this is the entrance of e-wallets in Malaysia from 2017 to 2019. Next, these are the advantages of e-wallet, which there are a lot of offer. There are coupons. There are also loyalty rewards. Using e-wallet is flexible, and e-wallet is also easy to use. Next, these are ways to fund your e-wallet. How to store your money in the e-wallet. Next, this is the scenario of Indonesia e-wallet, which overtook ATM and debit card in 2018. Next, these are the non-user perception of e-wallets. The perception towards security, the perception to overspending concern, and the perception toward merchant acceptance. These are why people did not use e-wallet. So the research objective of our FYP are: first, to compare between FSKM, SSPPP and FSR, adopt more on e-wallet among students in UiTM Negeri Sembilan, campus Seremban. The second objective is to analyze the factor that influence the adoption of e-wallet among students of UiTM Negeri Sembilan, campus Seremban. The research question are: which faculties between FSKM, FSPP and FSR adopt more on e-wallet among students in UiTM Negeri Sembilan, campus Seremban? The second are: which factor between security, convenience, social influence and speed that suitable to measure an adoption of e-wallet among students in UiTM Negeri Sembilan, campus Seremban? Next, there are 5 research hypotheses. First, there is a difference between the means of adoption of e-wallet and faculty in UiTM Negeri Sembilan, campus Seremban. Second, there is a significant influence between security and adoption of e-wallet among students in UiTM Negeri Sembilan. There is a significant influence between convenience and adoption. Fourth, there is a significant influence between social influence and adoption. Fifth, there is a significant influence between speed and adoption of e-wallet among students in UiTM Negeri Sembilan, campus Seremban. Next, the significance of e-wallet is that the significance of the study is that so that provider can know which of the benefit which are the main reasons students want to use e-wallet and can improve their system so that it can benefit them next time. These are the scope of the study is the students of UiTM Negeri Sembilan, campus Seremban, and the limitation because of coronavirus. It is difficult to distribute the questionnaire and there are limited previous researchers. Thank you.
So hi, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. My name is Aisyah. So next I will explain on the methodology. This segment discusses the research methodology that will be implemented in the study of e-wallet in order to achieve the objective in this study. Okay, the aim for this chapter is to explain the technique and the method of analysis that will be carried out in this study. Okay, firstly, this research design. For quantitative technique, used to be utilized to try to summarize finding or end by testing the theory related to this investigation. So for next, when the quantitative technique done, you know the factor influence in this research, and also we go for result outcome. So next, for the cross-sectional studies, which is the next level is to know the observation, and also we do a questionnaire to test this study whether valid or not, which using the factors include. Okay, first and foremost, cross-sectional study design is to sort of observational investigation structure. This research used cross-sectional examination for the analysis to measure the outcome and present in the examination individually measured. For example, we do questionnaire to know whether the respondent prefer e-wallet or not. Alright. So next, theoretical framework. So for the theoretical framework, we use 4 factors to know the adoption of e-wallet, whether to this e-wallet is convenient or not, whether this e-wallet is effect on the social influence or not, on the security, and also the speed. Alright, so next, population and samples. Total students in UiTM Seremban have 5,388 students. So for the sample, we just get the final answer is 384 students, which is 216 from FSPPP, which is the Administrative Science Studies, and 112 from FSKM student, and just 56 respondents from FSR. So next is instrument. For the instrument, we use the survey questionnaire, which is the section A, we ask on the demographic information, the section B on the independent variables, and the section C, which is lastly by using the dependent variables to know whether the students or the respondent adopt or not on the adoption of e-wallet in UiTM Seremban 3. Okay. Next, method of analysis. On this test, we run the test for the descriptive analysis, the ANOVA test, and the MLR test. Okay. On this test, we use the descriptive analysis by whether using the pie chart and the table, while the cross tabulation, we want to know whether the different gender or different age consider or not using e-wallet in the future. Okay, next for the reliability test. The reliability test will test on the pilot study, which is the pilot study is run before the real test was done. Okay, so the result for the Cronbach alpha for all the factors is strong, which is the Cronbach alpha value is more than 0.9. Okay, next. For the analysis of variance. Analysis of variance is to know whether the different faculty adapt or not on the e-wallet. Okay. Firstly, before we run the ANOVA, we have to check on the assumption. So, first assumption, normality, independent, and homogeneity. If the assumption is not valid or not fulfill the assumption, so we have to run for the non-parametric test, which is we have to run on the Kruskal-Wallis test. Alright.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Siti Nuraisha bint Abrazak. So I will continue about the method of the analysis. Okay, so next for the second objective, we want to know the factors that influence adoption of e-wallet. First, we will measure the strength of linear association between independent and dependent variable. So we can check the strength of each factor are low, moderate, or strong. Okay, then we will run the multiple linear regression (MLR) to investigate the factor that influence adoption of e-wallet. Before we conduct the MLR analysis, we must check the model adequacy checking first that contain 5 assumptions, which are linearity assumption, normality assumption, homozygosity assumption, independence assumption, and multicollinearity. So if there are assumptions that are not met, we will conduct remedial measure, which is we will do transformation and also find the influential outlier. After all the assumptions are met, we will run the MLR analysis and check the goodness of fit, which is explain how many the total variation of the factor that measuring the adoption of e-wallets. Then we will find the regression equation from the MLR estimates table that contain intercept and significant value of the factors.
So hi, next for the result and discussion. For the result and discussion, we test on the age, gender and faculty. On age group, 21 and 22 have the higher percentage, which is the value is 54.17. Okay, next for the gender, female has the high percent compared to male. And the faculty, the FSPPP is high percentage compared to FSKM and FSR, because the FSPPP dominant towards the other faculties. Okay, next for the age group. For this, we want to know whether the respondent have a smartphone and whether they consider using the smartphone in the future or not. And the result is yes, because yes have the most answers to compared to the no answers. Okay, next for the gender cross tabulation table, which is we will test on the whether genders on the female or male is considered using e-wallet in the future or not, and the answer is yes, with the value as 363. Next, to test on the difference of e-wallet adoption between the faculties. Okay, we want to know whether the FSPPP, FSKM, and FSR have a different or not. Okay, firstly, we run on the ANOVA. Before we run on the ANOVA, we run on the test of assumption. On the normality test, the result is not normal, and the independent samples, the result has no difference, and the homogeneity test is equivalent. From these three assumption, only one fulfill the assumption. Therefore, we run for the non-parametric test, which is the Kruskal-Wallis test. Okay, well, test on the Kruskal-Wallis test, the result is have a difference between the faculty of FSPPP, FSKM, and the FSR, because the p-value is less than 0.05.
Okay, next, for the result for second objective, which is factors that influence the adoption of e-wallet. Firstly, the Pearson correlation result. After we run it in the SPSS, we find that all the variable is significant, since the p-value are less than 0.05. For the strength between each factor with the adoption of e-wallet, it is find that convenience, security, and speed have strong relationship to the adoption of e-wallet, while social influence have moderate relationship. Okay, next, we run the model adequacy checking to check the assumption for multiple regression. Actually, the data has been analyzed and the assumptions are not fulfilling. So, we do transformation first and the data still not normal. Then, we remove the inclusion outlier. After that, the model adequacy checking has been analyzed again. Okay, from the scatter matrix, there are linear relationship between all variables toward an adoption of e-wallets. This data also normal since the plots lie along the straight line in the scatter plots. Homoscedasticity assumption also meet because the points are randomly scattered. Okay, next from the Dolby-Watson value, it is find the error terms are independent towards adoption of e-wallets. There are also no multicollinearity between the factors since the tolerance value are more than 0.2 and variance inflation factor is less than 10. Okay, next we generate the MLR estimates table to find the regression equation, intercept of all the factors, and the significant value. So, the regression equation is 1.939 plus 0.629x1 plus 0.045x2 plus 0.124x3 plus 0.118x4, where yi is the value of an adoption of e-wallet, x1 is the value of convenience, x2 is the value of social influence, x3 is the value of security, and x4 is the value of speed. Okay, from the estimate tables, we find that all the factors are significant influence to the adoption of e-wallet among students in UiTM Negeri Sembilan campus Seremban. That means all the hypotheses for second objective of the study are accepted. Okay, next, ANOVA table shows the significance test for overall regression model in the study. We test with 95% significant level. F value for the model is 428.474 and the critical value is 2.37. Since the F value is more than critical value, therefore H null is rejected. And this research can conclude that this model is significant.
I am going to present to all of you about chapter 5, which are conclusion and recommendation of the study. Hence the conclusion. By doing non-parametric tests, we are unable to find out that there are significant difference between adoption of e-wallets among the three faculties. Next, the researcher also find out that out of all all four factors which are convenience, social influence, security and speed have significant relationship towards adoption of e-wallet, and convenience is the most influence factor behind the adoption of e-wallet. In general, this study reveals that the characteristics of the e-wallet system have proved a significant influence on the adoption of e-wallet to students. Convenience, social influence, security and speed are among factors that influencing the adoption of e-wallet. To conclude, this research will enable facilitator and entrepreneur to gain some feedback from the result in order to provide more effective services. For the recommendation part, the future scholar should widen the target population, because in UiTM Negeri Sembilan we know that convenience is the main factor why the student adopt the e-wallet, but in other places we did not know. So if the future scholar want to make about this research, we suggest that they broaden the target population. The second recommendation is that it is to identify within the many variables that make people adopt to e-wallet, which are the main factor that boost the coming of e-wallets in Malaysia. Thank you.